everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week's sewing class will be a very easy one because we're going to make a skirt with an elasticated waistband. So very quick and very simple to do. And the most difficult part is finding the fabric, because it is for the first time in the many years that I am sewing that I found a pleated fabric, so already pleated fabric. Maybe in your country it's not that difficult, but I have never found it before. And to pleat it yourself is really a hell of a job, so I'm not gonna do that. But this one is already pleated. You see it has rather small pleats, so your fabric is already done, so your skirt is already half done, because it is very simple. So I show you how to make it. It's really very good for beginners too. So just try to find some fabric like this. I already bought another one because I was very glad that I finally found a pleated fabric. And now we're gonna make this dark blue, night blue polka dot one. So I laid my fabric out and I started measuring, and I noticed that normally in my country the fabric is doubled up, and then doubled up it is 75 centimeters wide. In this case, when I laid it out and then with the pleats of course closed up, it was doubled up only 37 centimeters. So that means I don't have my normal width, I just have half of my width. So I opened my fabric up, so I didn't do it on the double. And that means that single layered I have 75 centimeters width. That is not enough for a whole skirt. So I cut my fabric in pieces. Luckily I had enough to make 2 panels. That means all around when I stitch them together it is 150 centimeters, so 1 meter and 50 centimeters. For me that is enough for a whole skirt. But if you have the same with your fabric, that is not the normal width that you are used to, but it's just half, because I think they just pleated it up, the normal fabric, they pleated it up so I only have half of my width. That was not mentioned on the website where I ordered it, but I just found it out. So make sure you measure right how wide the fabric is with the pleats. And then make sure that the width that you have with 1 panel or with 2, if it's enough to get it over your hips. Because when your hips are more than 2 panels, you need another panel or maybe even 2 panels. So measure that up. Mine is now 1 meter and 50 centimeters. That is much enough for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach those 2 panels. I'm not already make a circle out of it. I do that later when I've attached my waistband. But what I did is I want to attach my waistband with the pleats closed up. So not stretched out, but closed in the pleats. And I took some painter's tape and I put that on top of the panel with the pleats closed up. And you can easily do that just by starting at the side where the pleats going from, and then you place it down, place the tape down and scrunch your fabric in so that the pleats are closing up. And you do that for the whole width of your panel. I did it for both. And make sure you leave a little bit of room on top so that you can sew on your waistband or whatever you have to do. I think this is a nice way when you want your pleats to be closed up, when you sew something to it. If you don't mind that your pleats open up, then you don't have to do it. Also then you don't need more fabric, because then you have again your 150 all around, so 75 doubled. But I want my pleats closed when I attach my waistband. So I did it for both my panels. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to stitch them together. Make sure that your pleats go the same way. So this panel, the pleats are closing up to that side, and this one too. So I'm going to close them up here on the side seam. And then I will make the waistbands before I close it up. You can also make a circle if you prefer that. So for the waistband you will need some wider elastic. Mine is 4 centimeters wide. And then you cut a piece of fabric for your waistband that is twice the width of your elastic plus seam allowance. And then the length of that fabric is the circumference of the top of your skirt. So you have a long piece of fabric, you will sew that into a circle to make the waistband. And what you do is you leave an opening on the inside of the waistband. So you sew it together, but just leave an opening at the end. And then you put the fabric doubled up. You put the elastic aside for now. You put your waistband doubled up and you sew that doubled up on top of the skirt just above the painter's tape. What I'm going to do is I want to line my skirt because this fabric is way too see-through to wear it like this. So I have some lining fabric and I'm going to use that also for my waistband. So what I'm going to do is, and that is why I didn't want to make the circle closed already, but it doesn't really matter, you can do it like this too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sew my fabric, that is my waistband and my lining together. I'm going to sew that on top of my skirt, same as for the waistband. Into my lining, and I'm gonna attach my lining all the way around on the top of the skirt, and make sure that you sew from the pleats down. So the pleats are going that way, so you sew that way, then you push your pleats down when you sew them together. Just attached a waistband, you can now flip that up and top stitch that down here at the seam. I sewed on my whole lining fabric that is also acting as the waistband, and I flipped that all back into the skirt, so the whole lining is now into the skirt except for the top part that will be my waistband. So I took my elastic to see how much I needed for that, and I flipped it back in and then pinned it on all the way through, so I can top stitch the edge here and then also stitch on the part of the fabric on the other side, and then that makes my casing. And at the side seam I have my opening where I can fit in my elastic, and you can also do that when you have only a waistband. And you see, just the fabric is just going from the waistband, the facing of the waistband, going on into the lining for the skirt. So it's a very easy, simple way to line your skirt and immediately also have a waistband for an elastic band. Now you fit in your elastic simply by putting a safety pin on the end and fit it into your waistband through the hole that you left open on the side seam. And then just go all the way around with the elastic and sew the ends together at the right waist width. only thing we have to do now is hem the skirt, and that is a bit of the down part of this fabric, because ideally the fabric should be hemmed before it gets pleated, because now we have these pleats, and you can do the same as we did with the top part for the waistband, taping it down with some painter's tape, and then sew the pleats down into the hem. But then you miss the width and the flowiness of the fabric, and that's a bit of a shame. So when it would have been hemmed before pleating, then that would be finished already, and the pleats are in the hem too. So if you can find panels of fabric that are already hemmed, that would be ideal for making a skirt like this. Now you have a bit to choose how you want to do it. I don't want to put my pleats down because I want really the width that the fabric has. What you can do is you can just make a normal hem by folding it in once, twice, and then top stitching it. I think I will make just a little small walled hem, maybe even just with a tight zigzag stitch. I don't know what it's called. It has a certain name, but I don't know what it is. So you can use an walled hem foot. I'm not really a fan of that because I cannot work with that walled hem foot, but when you can, it's a very nice way to use it for this kind of fabric with this kind of hem. I think I will just do it normally without the hemming foot, and then make that very tiny small walled hem with a zigzag edging. Maybe I will try first on a piece of scrap to see what is nicest, but you can also do just a normal hem, because whatever you do, your pleats will be flattened out, and there's no other way to do it. You either have to put them straight on flat and then hem it, and you don't have the width, or you have to stretch them out by hemming, and that means that the hemline will be a little bit of curved out, and I don't really like how that looks, but you don't have a choice. You can do it the other way. I once tried to hem a skirt like this, and then again in the hem press again in the pleats. It were a bit wider pleats than this, so it was less work than this, because these are really tiny pleats, but it was such a struggle to do it, and it didn't really hold up, so I wouldn't recommend doing it. So just see what you can do with your fabric, and if you still have to buy the fabric, see if you can find panels that are already hemmed. That will be really ideal, because then you have a really nice finishing in the hemline. So I cheated a bit, because I did my hem with the serger, and I know most of you don't have a serger, but what you get is this really nice small walled hem, and the serger folds it in or under and then gives it a very close stitching, and then you have this, and that looks really nice. It doesn't take off of your length, because I didn't want my skirt to be shorter than it already was, because I had to make 2 panels. But it's a really easy and simple way to finish your skirt. So if you are considering buying a serger, you see in my videos I always use a serger also for the sewing part, and something like this is very handy to have a serger for. So then certainly consider buying one, because it's very versatile piece to have, and it takes a lot of effort away from making a garment. So I'm very happy with it, and these hems are very nice like this. If you don't have a serger, you can just do your normal walled hem. If you have a chiffon like me, then do first stitching 1/2 centimeter from the edge, then cut off most of the seam allowance, and then fold it in again and stitch it close to the fold, and then you have a really nice very small hem. Don't try to do it folding in twice in one row. It won't work for chiffon. It's too slippery, it's too thin. So just do it in 2 steps. First do the first one, cut off the excess of your seam allowance, and then fold it in again, and then you also get a very nice rolled hem. But then you have to do 2 steps, and now I only had to put it under the serger, and my hem is done and very nice. No errors to make or whatever. It's very easy and simple to do. So my skirt is done. I'm going to show you my end result. And you saw this was a really quick and nice one to add to your wardrobe. Very easy and quick to make, but it looks really nice. You can wear it classy, you can wear it more casual. I put my espadrilles underneath, I don't know if you can see it. That is more a casual look. You can wear it with a straw bag, that is very nice too, as you saw in my thumbnail. And you can also dress it up a little bit more. So a very versatile piece. You see now with 2 times the length in panels, you have just about this width. If you want more, just add more panels. And because of the pleats, it always goes in a bit, so it will not be a skirt that will be too much standing out. And I think that gives it a really nice, nice polished look. So I'm very happy with this result. And you can very nicely pair it with a dark blue, night blue blazer. And it's really more dressed up, but you can still wear your straw bag or a nice leather bag or faux leather bag. As you see, it is really a versatile piece to be classic or to be just more casual. But even with a blazer it looks really nice. And in a few weeks I'm going to be making a white blazer here on this channel. Because I really like a white one, so I'll show you how to do that. You have a white one too, and then you have more pieces to mix and match with. Well, I hope you liked this video. It was a simple one. If you have any questions though, leave them down below in the comment section and I'll get back to you. And I'll see you back again in the next video. Bye! Thanks so much for watching.